Hey there, welcome to PopCultX episode 112, pop culture from a Gen X point of view. With me, as always, is Danny, co-host of the show. I am Gabriel. We are your hosts of PopCultX. So let's go ahead and just get right into it. One of the things that I've been thinking about this week is we talked about the Flash movie last weekend that I saw. And there was I don't want to give it away, but they talk about different iterations of Batman. Obviously, Michael Keaton comes up as the Batman, and Ben Affleck is also in the movie. So there's different iterations of Batman, which got me thinking, favorite Batman films, favorite villains.
Ooh, yeah.
Which are your top, which are your least favorite, which are your favorite. Let's go ahead and get in and talk about that, because I think that that's an interesting topic for us. Which of the 12, 13 Batman movies, and I am including Joker, and we can talk about that, whether or not that belongs on the list, but which is your favorite Batman movie?
Oh, that's a great question. Do you want to just go with our favorites, or should we just talk about each of them briefly chronologically? Like
We can do chronologically, I guess, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, the very first one, which is I've never seen, it's the Adam West one, right, from 1966.
Yeah.
And yes, for those out there, I am Googling, so I'm looking at a screen. I don't have these all memorized. But that movie included Cesar Romero as a Joker, Burgess Meredith as the Penguin, and Lee Merriweather as Catwoman. Now, I've never seen it, but I did watch some of the Batman TV series, so I'm sure it's just the same campiness that moved over from the TV series to the movie. So I'm sure it'd be fun, but I can't really say too much about it. Have you ever seen that one?
I did see them when I did see it when I was a kid. I really liked the old campy Batman. I mean, that's what I grew up on. I didn't know dark, gritty Batman because they hadn't made those films yet. So that's what I loved and watched was Batman. Yeah. And Robin, and I did love Cesar Romero, definitely having Latino representation on television in the big screen. So I was happy about that, and all the Catwomen that were involved. I was a big fan. I loved it was like a comic book come to life, and for at that time, when I was a kid, you want the campy, kind of cheesy kind of humor, the catchphrases, the punches and the special effect that the punch makes, all of that whole stuff. So I was a really big fan of that back in the day. Yeah, it's still nostalgic for me to watch, and it's a different type of Batman, but it's one that still like kind of makes me happy and puts a smile on my face.
Yeah, definitely. And a little bit off topic, but my favorite Scooby-Doo TV series was when they had guest stars, and one of them was Batman and Robin, and that was probably like I don't know if Adam West did that voiceover or not. I should have to look that up.
Pretty sure he did.
Yeah, I think so as well. But it was like my favorite when they did that crossover and they brought in the guest stars, and Batman was one of my favorite on that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's actually a comic book run of, I think, Batman and Batman and Scooby-Doo Adventures.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's for kids, but it's kind of cool. I thought about picking it just for like camp value.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I can't believe they took like a 23-year break between making Batman movies, which is kind of crazy, because the next one on the list here is Batman, the 1989 version, starring, of course, like you mentioned, Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson as the Joker, and what else? And yeah, I mean, they have all the other characters in there that we know, and it's very Tim Burton-esque. And it's that's the one I remember the most whenever it comes to a Batman film, because that was I was 12 years old when that came out. So it's like one of the first, superhero movies that I saw. And it's just so memorable, every part of it. And Jack Nicholson did a great job as the Joker, probably one of my top villains. I wouldn't say maybe at the top, but right up there.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think that I would probably rank Michael Keaton as my favorite Batman, if not my favorite, maybe like my number two. He definitely embodied Bruce Wayne, Batman perfectly. I did love Joker, Jack Nicholson. I love the interpretation that he did, where it was a psychopath mixed with that over the top kind of campy humor.
Yeah, exactly.
What made him even scarier. I loved Kim Basinger as sort of like the femme fatale of the
Yeah.
series, or the love interest, if you will. So that one definitely was a real big change of pace, obviously from the Batman that I grew up on. But I immediately fell in love with it. The dark, gritty sensibilities, and
Yeah.
along with the toys. I mean, they marketed it perfectly to us, because I remember buying the Batman toys and like the Batmobile. I was like all on board for it. I
And
loved
the
it.
soundtrack too. It's not.
Yeah, soundtrack was great with
Yeah.
Prince.
The Bat Dance, my goodness, that's like
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah, totally. Well, moving right along, we have the sequel, the follow-up to the Batman, which of course is Batman Returns, with Michael Keaton again taking on the Batman Bruce Wayne character. We had Danny DeVito as the Penguin in there, and I think your favorite Catwoman, I don't want to talk for you, but I think it is Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that movie was that movie. I think the first time I saw it made me feel awkward because of Danny DeVito's interpretation of the Penguin. So it was like, I don't know where you thought I was going with that awkwardness.
I thought you were going to say because of Catwoman's latex outfit. How old were you when it came out?
How old was I? When did it come out? It came out in 92. So what? Yeah, I was right in that age where, it would have been very, on board for it to make me feel awkward. But I think it was unsettling, I guess is a better word than for the way Danny DeVito played the Penguin, and how he really manifested as an actual penguin eating the fish and all that other stuff. It just was unsettling to me when I first saw it. But going back and watching it later on in life, it's really a great film. It really is. And it's just it's dark, it's gritty, and it has everything you'd want from a Batman movie.
Yeah, I think that the Penguin, the design is iconic. It just is the perfect mix of grotesque, over the top, campy, and frightening and horrific at the same time.
Yeah.
Like you said, that he has flippers, and he is eating a raw fish, but at the same time he has, that penguin-like body, and his teeth are rotten. You couldn't be a more perfect penguin, I think. Colin Farrell does a really great job later on
to that,
talk about that, but Danny DeVito's penguin design is just nearly flawless. And Catwoman is Michelle Pfeiffer. I think that they're still the way that they designed that character is still impacting the way comics are drawn today, with the way Catwoman, they're still referencing that Catwoman from that movie, and Michelle Pfeiffer's iteration of Catwoman. That's how powerful of the imagery was. And one of my favorite scenes is where she puts the bird in her mouth and to upset Penguin, and then she opens up her mouth and the bird flies out, or she's doing flips, and it's such a good movie. That the way the Penguin has his lackeys are sort of clown circus performers. They sort of flip in and out of the screen as they're kind of doing his bidding, and all of the penguins at the end, when he dies, they kind of take his body and put it out to the water. I mean, it's just such a good movie. It is my favorite Batman film to date. Okay, cool. It definitely, for actors, the look, the design of the film, the soundtrack by Danny Elfman, everything is pretty flawless. I mean, Susie Sue's on the soundtrack, and there's nothing that I would want any more out of a Batman film. It's perfect.
Yeah, I think I watched was it a documentary or a making or something where they talked about the scene with Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman doing the whipping in the store, and she got that like on the first take, everything all in one take, and like people were just amazed by it. So they did an amazing job. I mean, I like I said, I can't imagine anything better. When I think of Catwoman, I think of Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, and when I think of Penguin, I still think of Danny DeVito as that Penguin.
that's how iconic it is. Batman, I still reference, images from comic books, and there's been a lot of different iterations of Batman. Michael Keaton is, like I said, one of my top favorite people that have portrayed Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just iconic. It is the they set the tone for every other Batman film to come, and other superhero films, to be honest.
That's true.
That's where Tim Burton really became an iconic filmmaker. That was like one of his films that really put him on the map.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Well, moving right along, we got a few more to get through.
Yeah.
So 3 years after that, Batman Returns, Batman Forever comes out. And of course, we see a switch in the directors from Tim Burton to now Joel Schumacher. Also, we see a switch in Batman. So now Val Kilmer takes over. And as he's donning the cape and cowl, and we see Tommy Lee Jones playing Harvey Dent. We get Jim Carrey as the Riddler, and the iconic song "Kiss from a Rose" by Seals using the soundtrack. And I remember this movie. I don't want to say fondly, but I remember it mainly because Jim Carrey. I think his over the top, outlandish performance as a Riddler is what I take most from it. I didn't even remember that Tommy Lee Jones was in it until just now when I read it. Yeah. I always liked Val Kilmer as an actor. I wish he would have had more time to explore that character more. I think he did a decent job. But yeah, that's it about that movie.
Say that there's any superhero movie that I truly hate. Mm-hmm. They all kind of bring a level of excitement for me because I am such a big superhero fan. Anytime I get to see superheroes on the big screen, I kind of get excited because it's like my dreams are coming into reality. Mm-hmm. So that being said, this is probably my least favorite of the Batman films.
Interesting.
It's a little bit forgettable. I'm not a big fan at this point. I think Jim Carrey was on his like most over the top. With his zaniness. Mm-hmm. Tommy Lee Jones was okay, but it wasn't memorable for me. And I understand what Joel Schumacher was probably trying to do to try to make it like a comic book come to life, but it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, if that one didn't do it for you, what about the 1997 version, Batman and Robin, with also helmed by Joel Schumacher, that saw George Clooney as Batman, Chris O'Donnell as finally we get Robin back on the big screen. Yeah. Alicia Silverstone is in there, and of course Arnold as Mr. Freeze. And that was like at the height of his popularity, probably Arnold. This is often, I think, heralded or donned as probably the worst Batman movie. Yeah. And like you said, I enjoy superhero movies. I'm not going to say they're terrible because they give you, superheroes on the big screen. But probably the least memorable for me is this one. Although I do remember Arnold, as Mr. Freeze. Probably that's the only thing I remember the most from this iteration.
I'm going to say that this is probably not the worst Batman film because it has so much camp to it. It
does. You're right.
It's funny and it's campy in a way that the previous one I think tried to do but was unsuccessful. But this one was kind of really making fun of itself almost in a way with the nipples on the suit and the different shots that they had, where Batman's butt is on the big screen and Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy was sort of like a mix of like Mae West and just sort of an over-the-top diva with all the makeup and the hair, and Arnold was giving up, the cheesy one-liners, and it was very, it knew what it was, and it was sort of making fun of itself. I actually do appreciate the colors in that one because of the Uma character. There are certain shots within that film where they're introducing Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy that are really rather beautiful with the vibrant colors and the greens and the magentas and the way they did her makeup and her hair, I think were really actually kind of stunning. And then the way they made Arnold Schwarzenegger's character as well, I thought was kind of inventive. I did appreciate the the relationship between Batman and Robin, because that's, Batman and Robin are iconic duo. And I didn't mind O'Donnell as Robin, and Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. I thought that they did an okay job. But I would say that that's not the worst. I actually kind of like that film, to be honest.
Hey, that's fine. I mean, I do agree with you about the campiness. And it did that on purpose. I agree with you on that. It knew what it wanted to achieve. So I would say I didn't say it was the worst. I just heard people say it's the worst.
Yeah. I understand, but I disagree.
There you go. Well, continuing from there, we get now into the Christopher Nolan era of Batman, and the 2005 Batman Begins, which of course is a take on, I guess I'm reading Frank Miller's 1987 comic book Batman Year One. Christian Bale plays as a young Bruce Wayne, plays Batman as well. Cillian Murphy plays the Scarecrow. And it's an interesting movie. I remember I didn't want to watch it, or I didn't watch it when it first came out, because I was like, I wasn't really into it right then. Didn't really strike a chord with me. I didn't really, want to. I don't know. I guess I just wasn't in that mindset or mode to watch a superhero Batman movie. But going back afterwards, of course, and watching it, it's a decent film. I enjoy Christopher Nolan's take on it. I really do. His trilogy is probably one of my favorites of all of them, I guess. But yeah, it was okay. I mean, Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul was pretty good. I think I like the Scarecrow in this, and how he's using what do you call it? The mist or whatever to make people see nightmares and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say that the next three films, that the trilogy are not my top. I think that a lot of people herald them as some of the best Batman films to come out. They're actually, to me, really quite unmemorable. I don't really remember all that much about them. I think I know I saw them in the theaters. I don't think I ever rewatched them. I think the actors are really great, but I think it was just like too serious for me for a film about a superhero. It was just a little bit too realistic and too serious for my take when it comes to a man that dresses up like a bat and like flies through the air and fights crime. I mean, it is a very thin line between like over the top campiness and then like gritty realism. And at that time, I don't know where I was at my life, but I don't think that I was really seeking out movies that were so dark and gritty. And it just didn't speak to me, and it still doesn't. I could probably go back and watch Nolan's trilogy and see some value in it, but if Batman Returns was on, I'd rather watch that.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and talk to the next two right away. So The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Returns. Is that what it rises? The Dark Knight Rises. Of course, The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker, iconic. I mean, I think after his performance of that, subsequent performances or anything is always going to be measured to that. Yeah. I did think he just did a tremendous job in that role. Fortunately, was released after his untimely death. But it was just, I don't know. He was just psychotic. He was just the perfect Batman villain, although not as comical as I guess one would expect, especially from previous movies, to see the Joker, because you didn't see the more like the Jack Nicholson, the more comical approach to it.
Right.
But I think that was all within the dark vision of Christopher Nolan's universe, right? So he couldn't be that. He had to be the more serious type of Joker who was just crazy, off hinged, whatnot.
Yeah. I really don't have anything else to say, just because it is what I said previously. Heath Ledger genius actor, great job doing the Joker. I agree with you that people will measure any performance of a Joker to his performance. I think it was a great acting job. As far as the films being entertaining, I just don't. It's not something that I want to sit down and watch again.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Of course, Dark Knight Rises ends out the Nolan's trilogy. I thought it was a clever ending with did Alfred see Bruce Wayne there at the end or not? I don't know. I guess it's leaving up to the viewer to decide that. But let's move on to Batman versus Superman, which came out in 2016, Dawn of Justice. It was a start of the DCEU, which is, of course, we now know is defunct. But it was cool to see those two iconic heroes go head to head.
Yeah.
If anything about the movie, anything else about the movie, it was just awesome to see Metropolis versus Gotham collide.
Yeah.
So Ben Affleck, of course, helmed Batman there, and was that the movie where Martha united them, or was that the later on movie? That was later on, right?
That was later on, yeah.
Okay, so I won't mention that part right now. So what was your take on the Dawn of Justice there?
I thought that Henry Cavill does an amazing job as Superman. Ben Affleck is not bad as Batman. He's okay. He's probably middle of the road when it comes to like ranking of my favorite Batman or actors who portrayed Batman. It was okay. It was pretty good. I mean, it was entertaining. I don't hate it. I don't necessarily love it. It was just kind of middle of the road for me.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on. So the next few movies, well, the Suicide Squad is listed on here, but it's not really a Batman movie. I don't even know if he's in there or not. Batman, I don't remember.
I think that he's in there slightly when he's chasing after the Joker.
I think you're right. Yeah,
like purple Lamborghini or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
So I mean, I guess officially it's within the Batman universe. I would say that Harley Quinn was more of the star of that film.
I agree.
And stole the show. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn was just genius casting, perfect casting, and she kind of stole the show. So that's what stood out for me for Suicide Squad was Harley Quinn.
Fair enough. So moving right along, we have the Justice League. We see Batman teaming up for the first time. And of course, there's two different versions of the Justice League. We have the Snyder Cut version of the 4-hour epic tale. Then, of course, there's also the theatrically released version, which is a little more trimmed down, I guess you would say, a little more colorful in a way, because it's not in black and white for the most part. Or Josh Whedon's version, but we don't say Josh Whedon's name that many times either, though. I just said it twice. Okay, so let me stop. But Ben Affleck plays Batman there, and I think he does a good job. I didn't say this in the previous one, but I really do like his take as the older, grizzled veteran of a Batman. He's, life has taken its toll on him. He's getting beaten up. You could tell that he's been through the ringer, even though they don't show it or talk about it that much. He's taken his lumps as Batman. So and so when he comes on the screen in these films, he is that I don't want to say broken person, but he is the luster and shine of his millionaire life is not there.
Yeah, he's more bruised and battered.
Yeah.
And the thing that I actually really did like the Justice League. I like both versions. I think for me, a lot of it just has to do with seeing the whole Justice League lineup all in one movie.
Yeah.
Really love the casting. I think they did a really great job with Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Aquaman, Jason Momoa, Henry Cavill as Superman. Even Ben Affleck as Batman, and then Ezra Miller as the Flash, and then I forget the actor's name who does Cyborg, but they all did the great job. I mean, and it was just fun to see them up on the screen. Like I said, whenever I see any superhero movie where they're kind of come to life, it makes me happy. And seeing the Justice League was just fun. It was fun. I know that it's not the most critically acclaimed version of a superhero movie, but I did think that it was fun, and there were portions of it that were very entertaining.
Yeah. And I finally seen, I think I'm up to that midway point of this Zack Snyder's cut. So I'm almost done with it.
Finish it.
I will finish it when I have time. It's just one of those things, I saw the regular original cut of the Justice League. So I saw that. So I've seen the movie. And so it's just like, okay, when I get a chance, I'll get to the Snyder cut.
Yeah. It's good. I do like it.
Yeah, I agree. It's decent. So far.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're on to the next one, which is a digitally animated film of the Lego Batman movie, where Will Arnett voices Batman, and who's it? Zach Galifianakis voices the Joker. I think this is a really fun movie. I really enjoy it. And Will Arnett has the perfect Batman voice.
Yeah.
So even when he talks, he's doing the Batman voice. So that shout out to like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where they say, "Oh, he's doing his Batman voice," but Will Arnett always has the Batman voice. So I really liked it. I really liked this movie. I liked the film. I liked the telling of it. I like how Robin is like his accidentally adopted son. It's just fun.
Yeah, I agree. It's not, against, Christopher, what is his name? I already forgot his name. Nolan, his trilogy. Obviously, it's not going to be hailed as like one of the best Batman films of all time, but it's fun for kids to see in that iteration. And it's fun for adults just to take it not so seriously. And I think that that's part of the fun of Batman, is that there are times when you can take it not so seriously and it just be kind of a comic book character again. And that's.
Yeah, I agree. And it did have all that comic book campiness to it. And it was just, like you said, for kids, even for adults who want to see, because they do a lot of pop culture references in there. And that's just part of the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to the next movie. And this is one that we talked about at the beginning that we didn't know if it should be considered on this list. And that is Joker, the Todd Phillips, Joaquin Phoenix storytelling. Now, Phoenix plays Arthur Fleck, who is a failed comedian struggling with mental illness who transforms himself into a clown. Is it a Batman movie without a Batman?
I think it's a Batman film because it is the Joker.
Okay.
It's not really a Batman film. It's like Batman adjacent.
I like that, Batman adjacent.
It's in the shadow of Batman, and it gives you insight of like what would the other people who live in the Bat universe, how do they live, how do they react to things, and so for that, like, it was very entertaining. Again, it's a great movie, but it's not a movie that I really want to sit down and watch again because it's so disturbing.
Yeah, that's true.
It's extremely well acted. Joaquin Phoenix is such a great actor. He did such a great job. I am looking forward to the sequel.
Yeah, me too.
Harley Quinn, obviously, because of Lady Gaga. And I think that there'll be an amazing pair. So I can't wait for that one. Hopefully it will be just as good as the first iteration.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the sequel as well. It's going to be wonderful, especially because, like, I think we talked about this before, it looks like it might be some sort of musical element to it. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what they're going to allow Lady Gaga to do, because, she has the chops for anything. So I'm curious what they're going to do with that.
Yeah.
Now, the most recent, well, I shouldn't say the most recent now, because that would be The Flash with the Batmans in it that you spoke about. Yeah. But the latest movie before that is The Batman, with Robert Pattinson's turn as Batman, and of course directed by Matt Reeves. And we have Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. There's Paul Dano as the Riddler, and Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Now, I don't know. I think I didn't want to like this movie because I didn't see Robert Pattinson as a Batman to begin with.
Yeah.
But it is a really, really good movie. I really enjoyed it. And it especially the chase scene that they have with the Batmobile, that was just epic and fantastic. And the Riddler, Paul Dano, does a fantastic job.
Yeah.
He really, really does. So, I think they're even doing a spinoff from this movie for the Penguin as a series on HBO coming up with Colin Farrell, unless they canceled that too. Who knows? But yeah, I really think this was just a really well done movie from any way you want to look at it.
Yeah, I agree. I went into it thinking that I was not going to like it because of the new casting and it being sort of like the millennial version of Batman. But I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. I think it was a good balance of gritty and like entertainment and action. And the realism was there, but it was still fun. It was still entertaining to watch. And that one I would sit down to watch again. And I think
me too.
That's sort of like my barometer of like whether or not I like a film, whether or not I'll sit down and like watch it again if it's on TV. And I would, because the action in it is so good. Specifically that action, that chasing that you talk about is really, really perfect, and really great acting in it. Yeah, I would rank that as one of the top ones.
Yeah. Okay, well, since you said ranking, let's do that. You asked me that question. What was my top Batman movie and top Batman villain? We went through the whole list of them. So now let's talk about tops. I would say, for me, I got to go Dark Knight, still my favorite. The grittiness and realism that you don't like plays right into what I enjoy. So I would say that, and then I would, right after that, I would put the Batman from '89, and then the Batman from 2022. So those would be my top three. Yeah. As far as Batman villains, most psychotic. Sorry, Heath Ledger, but I gotta go Paul Dano as the Riddler. I think his portrayal and I think leaving the whole universe or that world within that movie in suspense and in fear is what makes him the top for me. Yeah.
For me, I'd have to go with Batman Returns. It's my favorite one. It's perfect in every way. Best villains is a tie with Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman and Danny DeVito as the Penguin. It literally is like my comic books open up and I'm watching it come to life and it being on the big screen. It's perfect. There's nothing that I would change about that film.
Drop the mic and walk away.
Right. Yeah. It's so good. It's my favorite one. It definitely is the best for me, in my opinion.
Hey, that works perfectly fine. How about you guys out there? What is your favorite Batman movie, favorite Batman villain? We want to hear from you. Drop a comment, let us know. And then I think next week we should do this with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Definitely a lot of Spider-Man films for us to talk about.
Definitely a lot of Spider-Man films and maybe even a Spider-Man special guest coming on. So that's all I got for this week. I'm glad we got to talk Batman this week because he is an iconic character. We didn't do comic books of Batman because there's too many of them, so we stuck to movies. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Be sure to like, subscribe, share. Sharing is caring. Do that a lot. Share us out with all your friends. Let everyone know about us so that way they can tell their friends and those friends can tell their friends. And yeah, see you guys next time.
Stay safe, everyone.